Hello, my friends. Welcome back to I hope you are ready for today's story. Did you know that there was once a man who conquered half the world? He did this in only 10 years, and he was very young. Most people at that age are still learning about life. But this man was leading armies. He was crossing deserts and mountains. He was meeting new people and learning new languages. He never lost a battle, not even once. Can you imagine that? Some people say he was a hero. Some people say he was too ambitious. But everyone agrees on one thing. He was extraordinary. His name was Alexander, and today we call him Alexander the Great. This is his story, a story of courage, discovery, and adventure. If you want to improve your English while listening to amazing true stories, please subscribe to Storyline English. Your support helps us create more content for learners like you. Now, let us discover Alexander's journey together. Alexander was born in the year 356 before Christ. This was a very long time ago. He was born in a place called Macedonia. Macedonia was a kingdom in ancient Greece. His father was King Philip. His mother was Queen Olympias. From the day Alexander was born, people saw that he was special. Even as a baby, he was strong and healthy. His mother told him stories about gods and heroes. She said that Alexander had special blood in his veins. She told him he was related to Achilles, a great hero from old Greek stories. Alexander believed these stories. They made him feel brave and powerful. When Alexander was a young boy, something important happened. His father, King Philip, bought a beautiful horse. This horse was wild and strong. No one could ride this horse. The horse was afraid and angry. Many men tried to control the horse, but they all failed. Young Alexander watched all of this. He was only about 12 years old. But he saw something the other men did not see. He saw that the horse was afraid of its own shadow. Alexander walked up to the horse. He turned the horse toward the sun. Now the horse could not see its shadow. The horse became calm. Alexander climbed on the horse and rode away. Everyone was amazed. King Philip was so proud. He said to Alexander, "My son, you must find a kingdom big enough for you. Macedonia is too small." The horse's name was Bucephalus. This horse stayed with Alexander for many years. They traveled the world together. Alexander had a special teacher. His name was Aristotle. Aristotle was one of the greatest thinkers in history. He taught Alexander many subjects. He taught him philosophy, which means the love of wisdom. He taught him science and medicine. He taught him about plants and animals. He taught him poetry and art. Alexander loved learning. He always carried books with him, even when he went to war. His favorite book was the Iliad. This was an ancient story about heroes and battles. Alexander read this book many times. He wanted to be like the heroes in the story. Aristotle taught Alexander for 3 years. These 3 years changed Alexander's life. They gave him knowledge and curiosity about the world. When Alexander was 16 years old, his father went away to fight a war. King Philip left Alexander in charge of Macedonia. This was a big responsibility for a young person. But Alexander was ready. While his father was gone, some people in the north tried to attack Macedonia. They thought a young boy could not defend the kingdom. But they were wrong. Alexander gathered an army. He marched north and defeated the invaders. He won his first battle at age 16. When King Philip came home, he was very impressed. He saw that his son was not just smart. Alexander was also a great leader. 2 years later, when Alexander was 18, something even bigger happened. There was a great battle called the Battle of Chaeronea. King Philip was fighting against other Greek cities. Alexander fought beside his father. He led the cavalry. The cavalry means soldiers on horses. Alexander and his cavalry were brave and fast. They helped win the battle. This victory made Macedonia the most powerful kingdom in Greece. King Philip was now the leader of almost all Greek lands, and everyone knew that young Alexander was a hero. But then, something terrible happened. When Alexander was 20 years old, his father was killed. Someone murdered King Philip at a wedding. It was a sad and shocking day. Suddenly, Alexander became king. He was very young to be a king. Some people thought he was too young. Some people did not want to follow him. There were men who wanted to take the throne from him. There were cities that wanted to break away from Macedonia. Alexander had to act quickly and strongly. He had to show everyone that he was powerful. He marched his army to the Greek cities that were rebelling. He reminded them of his father's victories. He showed his own strength. Most cities decided to follow him, but one city did not. This city was called Thebes. The people of Thebes fought against Alexander. It was a big mistake. Alexander's army destroyed the city of Thebes. He wanted to send a message to everyone. The message was clear. Do not challenge Alexander. After this, no Greek city dared to fight against him. They all accepted him as their leader. Alexander was now the king of Macedonia and the leader of all Greece. But he did not want to stop there. He remembered his father's dream. His father wanted to attack Persia. Persia was the largest empire in the world at that time. It was rich and powerful. It had millions of people. The Persian king was called Darius. King Darius ruled from India to Egypt. Alexander decided to continue his father's plan. He would invade Persia. He would challenge the greatest empire on earth. In the year 334 before Christ, Alexander crossed into Asia. He took his army across a narrow sea called the Hellespont. This was the beginning of his great journey. He had about 40,000 soldiers. The Persian Empire had much more. But Alexander was not afraid. He believed in himself and his men. He believed that he could win. And he believed that destiny was on his side. The first big battle happened at a river called the Granicus. The Persian army was waiting for Alexander. They stood on the other side of the river. The river was deep and fast. Alexander's generals told him to wait. They said it was too dangerous to cross the river and fight at the same time. But Alexander did not listen. He jumped into the water on his horse Bucephalus. His soldiers followed him. They crossed the river and fought the Persians. It was a hard battle. Alexander himself was almost killed. A Persian soldier hit him on the head, but Alexander's helmet saved him. His friend Clytus saved his life by killing the Persian soldier. In the end, Alexander won the battle. The Persians ran away. This victory opened the door to Asia for Alexander. After the battle, Alexander moved south along the coast. He captured city after city. Some cities opened their gates and welcomed him. Other cities fought, but Alexander always won. He captured important ports so the Persian navy could not use them. He was thinking like a smart general. He did not just win battles, he won the war step by step. One of the cities he captured was called Gordium. In this city, there was a famous knot. It was called the Gordian knot. This knot was very complicated. An old legend said that whoever could untie the knot would rule all of Asia. Many people had tried to untie it. No one could do it. When Alexander saw the knot, he thought for a moment. Then he pulled out his sword and cut the knot in half. He did not follow the rules. He made his own way. This story became famous. It showed Alexander's character. He did not accept limits. He found solutions that others could not imagine. In the year 333 before Christ, Alexander fought his most important battle. This battle was called the Battle of Issus. King Darius himself came with a huge army to fight Alexander. The Persian army was much bigger than Alexander's army. Some say Darius had 300,000 soldiers. Alexander had only 40,000. But Alexander was a brilliant commander. He understood the battlefield. He saw that the Persians were crowded together. They could not move easily. Alexander attacked at the perfect moment. He led his cavalry straight toward King Darius. His soldiers were brave and disciplined. They pushed through the Persian lines. When King Darius saw Alexander coming toward him, he became afraid. He turned his chariot and ran away. When the Persian soldiers saw their king running, they also ran. The battle became a complete victory for Alexander. He captured Darius's family. He captured Darius's tent and treasures. But he treated Darius's mother and wife with great respect. He told them they would not be harmed. This kindness made many Persians respect Alexander. After this victory, Alexander could have gone straight to Persia, but he did not. He turned south instead. He wanted to capture all the cities on the coast first. He marched into Phoenicia and then into Egypt. Egypt welcomed Alexander as a liberator. The Egyptians did not like Persian rule. They were happy to see Alexander. The Egyptian priests declared Alexander to be a pharaoh, a god king. Alexander visited a famous oracle in the desert. An oracle is a holy place where people ask questions to the gods. The oracle told Alexander that he was the son of Zeus, the king of the gods. Whether this was true or not, Alexander believed it, and belief gave him even more confidence. While in Egypt, Alexander founded a new city. He named it Alexandria after himself. This city became one of the greatest cities in the ancient world. Even today, Alexandria is a major city in Egypt. In the year 331 before Christ, Alexander finally marched east toward the heart of Persia. King Darius gathered another enormous army. He chose a flat battlefield near a place called Gaugamela. He wanted space for his chariots and cavalry. The Persian army was one of the largest ever assembled. Some historians say it had 1 million soldiers. This number might be exaggerated, but it was certainly huge. Alexander had only about 50,000 men. Before the battle, Alexander's soldiers were nervous. How could they fight so many enemies? But Alexander was calm. He studied the battlefield carefully. He made a plan. The Battle of Gaugamela was one of the most famous battles in history. When the battle started, the Persians attacked with everything they had. They sent war chariots with sharp blades on the wheels. But Alexander's soldiers opened gaps in their lines. The chariots rode through without hitting anyone. Then Alexander made his move. He saw a weak spot in the Persian formation. He led his cavalry in a wedge formation, like an arrow. They charged straight at that weak spot. They broke through the Persian lines. Once again, Alexander rode directly toward King Darius. And once again, Darius ran away. His army collapsed. Thousands of Persians died. Alexander won a complete and total victory. After this battle, Darius was no longer a threat. Alexander marched to the Persian capitals. He entered Babylon, the great city. He entered Susa. He entered Persepolis, the most beautiful Persian city. In Persepolis, Alexander took revenge for the Persian invasion of Greece many years before. His soldiers burned parts of the palace. Alexander now controlled the entire Persian Empire. He was 30 years old. But Alexander did not stop. He wanted to go further east. He wanted to reach the edge of the world. He marched his army through mountains and deserts. He crossed into what is now Afghanistan and Pakistan. He fought against mountain tribes. He founded more cities named Alexandria. He kept moving forward. Some of his soldiers were tired. They had been marching for years. They wanted to go home. But Alexander kept pushing them onward. In India, he fought against King Porus, an Indian king with war elephants. The Battle of the Hydaspes River was difficult. Alexander had never fought elephants before, but once again, he found a way to win. He respected King Porus for his bravery. After the battle, Alexander made Porus his ally. But finally, Alexander's soldiers said no. They refused to march any further. They stood at a river in India. Alexander wanted to cross and continue. His men said they could not. They had been away from home for 8 years. They missed their families. They were exhausted. Alexander was angry at first. He went into his tent and refused to speak to anyone for 3 days. But in the end, he had to accept their decision. He agreed to turn back. This was the only time Alexander did not get what he wanted. The army began the long journey home. They marched through a terrible desert. Many soldiers died from heat and thirst. It was one of the hardest parts of the entire journey. Finally, they reached Babylon. Alexander made Babylon his capital. He planned new expeditions. He wanted to explore Arabia. He wanted to improve his empire. But then something happened that no one expected. Alexander became sick. He had a fever. At first, it did not seem serious, but the fever got worse. For 10 days, Alexander fought the sickness. His soldiers came to see him one by one. They were crying. They loved their king. On the 11th day, in the year 323 before Christ, Alexander died. He was only 32 years old. Alexander's death was a shock to the whole world. He had conquered so much. He had achieved so much. But his life was cut short. No one knows exactly what killed him. Some people think it was malaria. Some think it was typhoid fever. Some people even think he was poisoned. We will never know for certain. After Alexander died, his empire broke apart. His generals fought each other for power. The empire was divided into several kingdoms. But even though his empire did not last, Alexander's influence did. He spread Greek culture across Asia. He built cities that became centers of learning and trade. He connected the East and the West in ways that had never happened before. He showed that one person with courage and vision can change the world. Today, more than 2,000 years later, we still remember Alexander. We study his battles. We read about his life. We learn from his successes and his mistakes. He was ambitious, perhaps too ambitious. He was brave, sometimes too brave. He was a brilliant leader, but also a complicated person. He could be kind and generous, but also cruel and ruthless. He represents something important about human nature. He shows us that people can achieve incredible things when they believe in themselves and refuse to give up. He teaches us that limits are often only in our minds. But he also teaches us that even the greatest person cannot live forever. Even the most powerful king must face the end of his journey. Alexander's story is a story of adventure and discovery. It is a story about dreaming big and working hard. It is a story that has inspired millions of people throughout history. From a young prince in Macedonia to the ruler of the known world, Alexander lived an extraordinary life. He traveled to places no Greek had ever seen before. He met people from different cultures. He learned from them and shared his own knowledge. His journey was not perfect. He made mistakes. He lost friends. He faced dangers. But he never stopped moving forward. That is what made him great. I hope you enjoyed this journey through history with me today. Stories like Alexander's help us learn English, but they also teach us about life, courage, and human achievement. If you found this story interesting and helpful, I would be very grateful if you could like this video. It lets me know that these stories are valuable to you. And if you want to hear more stories from history, told in simple English that is perfect for learning, please subscribe to this channel. Every subscription helps us create more content for English learners like you. You can also leave a comment below. Tell me what you think about Alexander. Was he a hero? Was he too ambitious? I would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for listening today, my friends. I wish you peace and success on your English learning journey. Until next time, keep listening, keep learning, and keep discovering the amazing stories of our world. Goodbye for now.